everybody and welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are doing good. If you're not, this is the place to be because in today's video, I'm going to show you the do's and don'ts of foundation application. For the sake of the video, I'm going to show you what all you should not do on this half of my face and what all you should do on this half of my face. Okay, so let's begin. So first of all, tip number one and the most important tip is to hydrate yourself. Yes, that's right. Drink lots and lots of water and keep yourself hydrated all the time because, honest talk, makeup looks good only on good skin, and that's a hidden fact that most people will not tell you, but it is true. So yeah, keep yourself hydrated, tip number one. Now step number two, which is very important before applying your foundation, is to moisturize your skin well. It does not matter what kind of skin you have, whether it is dry, whether it is oily, you still have to moisturize your skin. Of course, you can use a moisturizer that works for your skin, and depending on your skin type, you can pick your moisturizer. For example, for oily skin, you want to use a moisturizer that is more oil control, but still hydrating. On the other hand, for dry skin, you want to use something that's deep hydrating and like really plumping for the skin. Because what happens is when you don't moisturize your skin and you directly apply a foundation and you try to blend it, it looks very patchy because it does not move around on the skin as easily. So I'm going to moisturize my skin on the side. Always moisturize using your hands because your hands will warm up the product nicely and it will glide on well. So moisturize nicely, apply enough moisturizer. My skin is a kind of combination. In Bangalore, it tends to get a little dry though. So I am just moisturizing one half of my face, which is the do side of my face. Just moisturize it really well. Don't overdo the moisturizer also because then the makeup will slip off and will not stay as long. But hydrate it enough for the foundation to glide on nicely. And massage it into your face. Of course, don't rub it like that because then it will irritate your skin. So be gentle and nicely sort of just massage it into the skin. That's about it. You can already see how much hydrated and plump this side of the skin looks versus this side, right? The next thing that I like to do is use like a cream or a liquid highlighter, something like that. I'm going to use a cream one for now because it gives a nice dewy effect, and just apply it on the face randomly after the moisturizer. I like that sort of glowy, dewy effect it gives. If you're not into dewy looks, you can totally skip this step. So yeah, get this in multiple brands. I'm just applying it randomly. See, again, you can see that dewiness that it's added to my skin versus this side. I love dewy. Anything dewy, foundations, dewy lipsticks, anything dewy is my thing. I love it. Okay, so I'm done with that step as well. Now, another mistake that I've seen most people do is they use a foundation that is not their skin tone. Either, mostly actually in India I've seen that they pick foundations that is really light for their skin, and sometimes even darker, both of which don't look great on the skin. So it's very important to pick your exact tone of foundation. For example, if I use a foundation that is this light, let me just try it out and see. And they use their hands and just sort of rub it on the face like a moisturizer. Then there is no point of applying a foundation at all in the first place if you're going to just apply it like a moisturizer and rub it on the entire face. You see that? If you're going to apply it like this, honestly, whatever shade of foundation you use will mostly work because you're just putting on the product and you're almost removing it from the face. So there is no point of applying a foundation only if you're going to apply it like that. So it's going to look like that. I don't know if you can see in the camera as well, but in real it is looking quite cakey and grey, especially on areas that I have marks. That's another thing to remember, that if you have pigmentation or blemishes or any those sort of issues on your skin, always conceal it first before you go ahead with the foundation, because your foundation shade matches the skin tone and not pigmentation. So you want to first use a concealer to correct any pigmentation or blemishes and then use a foundation on top of it. So I'm going to conceal my under eyes a little bit here and a few of these blemishes and then use a foundation. So my concealer will be a little bit orangish and a little dark to conceal the pigmentation. Guys, let me know if you want me to make a video on how to pick your concealer shade as well, because I feel like that is also an area that a lot of people face trouble with and go wrong. So let me know if you're interested in that. So for now, I'm just concealing under my eyes. My forehead also a little bit I will conceal because there is blemishes. I'm just using my hands for the concealer bit. Again, because it's a cream concealer, it warms up the product. And I'm just dabbing it in place, not rubbing it too much. So this side almost looks like I've put some talcum powder on my face. This side looks a lot more smoother. Honestly, you can even just conceal and powder it is also more than enough if it's just an everyday, like you're just going out, you know, then even that much is just fine. But today's video is about foundation application, so I'm going to show you how to apply the foundation as well. And take very, very little product, because you don't need so much product. If you already have pretty much clear skin and you don't have much to cover, use a concealer to conceal the pigmented areas and then just a little bit of foundation to even out the full face. And I like using a foundation with a sponge because it helps give more even finish and like a nicer coverage, a full coverage look, and it's also a lot faster to use. So whenever you're using a sponge, it is important to wet it a little bit. For this, I like to use rose water, so I'm just going to wet it a little bit. Of course, when I say wet it, don't like run it under put it under a tap of running water or something. Just wet it a little. I'm using rose water because it's also soothing for the skin, and that's the foundation shade that I'm going to use, and just about that much. So I'm going to take the foundation directly on the sponge and start dabbing it from the center of the face, moving outward. Same way from the center, you move outward because you want the center of your face to look the brightest. So you start with maximum product there. I'm using a full coverage foundation for today, but you can see by the end of this video that it is not going to look cakey or like packed on or extremely artificial or anything of that sort, and that is only because of this application technique. I'm not trying to achieve any caked up, fully made up sort of look. I'm just trying to keep it very natural. So yeah, so just dab, dab, dab. It is so easy to use a sponge. It makes your life so much easier. Oh my god, I hate this side. It's so powdery, like I've put some talcum powder or something. I like to keep my skin just this full coverage. I think it looks nice. What do you think? Yeah. Of course, if you want, you can build on the coverage, and that's another technique to keep in mind. Always build on the coverage of your foundation. Don't directly apply too much product in the beginning, because then if you don't like it, you'll have to take it all off. So start with little product, see how you like it. You can always build on the coverage, apply more product, and play around with the product that way. Another thing that a lot of us don't do because we worry about our foundations looking cakey is we forget to powder the skin, or we just like don't powder the skin, because a lot of us tend to think that as soon as you powder the skin, it looks cakey. But that is not true, again, because it depends on the shade of the powder that you're using. I like to use a little bit lighter powder under my eyes because it brightens the face, but you can do this only if you have concealed well. If you're going to apply a light powder directly under your eyes and you have pigmentation, it's going to look ashy. So concealing is the key actually to flawless looking base makeup, to be very, very honest. But yeah, do not forget to powder at least key areas on your face, because if you don't powder is when all of this creasing happens and your makeup doesn't stay, it melts, it moves, all of that complaints come only when you haven't set your makeup by powdering it. So what I like to do is, I take a little bit of powder and I powder just underneath my eyes. This is a lighter powder. It is the MAC Studio Fix shade NC30. It is a little lighter for me. 30, right? Oh, NC35, which is also lighter, to be honest. But yeah, when you are powdering your face, you have to press the powder into the skin and not rub the powder like that, because again it's going to disturb the foundation underneath and it's going to become cakey. So most of the products that you apply on your face, starting from concealer, foundation and even powder, is all dab dab. So I am just powdering under my eyes and my T-zone mostly. I'm going to keep the rest of it as it is to retain that glow. Even with the foundation, why I like to use a sponge and dab the product into the skin and not use a brush and rub it around is to avoid brush strokes, because sometimes if your pressure is too much, you'll see brush strokes and then you'll set it just like that with the powder and then again it ends up looking cakey. So it's always nice to dab product. You can see, be it your concealer, your foundation or your powder. So you can see this side is all the don'ts that will end up looking like this. And this side is all the do's that you can try out and see how it works out for you. So let me just do a quick revision of what all I've covered in this video. On the don't side, I haven't moisturized my skin, which is a mistake that most of us do, thinking that the makeup is going to look greasy. On this side, I have moisturized and hydrated it so that while blending the foundation, it glides on smoothly and doesn't look patchy. On this side, I've used a wrong shade of foundation, which is a lot lighter than my skin, which is why it is looking gray and ashy, and I haven't even concealed the pigmentation on my skin. On this side, I've used the correct shade of foundation and concealed first before I went on with a foundation. And on this side, I used my hands and just rubbed the product, which just takes off all product, to be honest. Whereas on this side, I used a sponge and dabbed the product into the skin, ensuring that I'm getting decent coverage, and it's also a very quick process. On the side, I have not powdered my skin, which is why you can see under my eyes looks oily and greasy. It kind of looked a little bit tired on this side, I feel, right? And on this side, I have powdered, but not all over my face, just under my eyes and the T-zone. So you can see the finished result on both sides. The do and the don't. The do and the don't. So let me know in the comment section what you thought of this video, and if you tried it out, don't forget to send me photos of how it looks. And yeah, until then, take care. Bye.